What is classical liberalism? Classical liberalism is a political ideology that favors the protection of individual liberty and economic freedom by an emphasis on limited government power. It is a branch of liberalism that promotes free market civil liberties, economic freedom, and political freedom. Classical liberalism is built from ideas in the 18th century by individuals like John Locke, Jean-Baptiste Say, Thomas Robert Malthus, and David Ricardo. Here are some positives for classical liberalism. The first positive I have is that there is a high individual freedom in the economy, which means that the citizens have the freedom of speech, to protest for what they believe, and to even own their own properties. Because of classical liberalism, it leads to an increased business profit, since private-owned corporations can invest in what they want. With the market determining the prices of their goods and services, it means they can charge more and benefit themselves and their business. Liberal philosophies ensure to fight for the rights of individuals and make sure they are preserved. Every individual's moral values should be treated equally to the moral ideologies of others. The state ensures that there are equal rights and opportunities for everyone, regardless of everyone's gender, status, or age. With classical liberalism, the rule of law came to be. It's based on the idea that a country should be ruled by a certain and clear set of laws, instead of an individual ruler. Since no individual is above the law, the people are all expected to follow the law, and everyone is able to face a punishment for breaking it. Collective security should be one of the main goals for all states and regions. It states that security should be their main priority, and that the government should all collectively respond to threats and breaches of peace. There were a lot of companies and corporations competing with each other. Because of this, it resulted in a decrease in their prices for their goods and services, helping out those who may not be able to afford it. The three branches, judicial, executive, and legislative, all have their own duties and responsibilities for each branch. Therefore, with this separation of power, they are able to prevent dictatorship and unfair ruling. With classical liberalism, there is a higher employment rate, because corporations can set their wages, in turn hiring more workers since there is no minimum wage. Here are some disadvantages of classical liberalism. Since the governments won't intervene, monopolies have the power to form. When one business controls an entire corporation, it affects consumers, because without the benefit of choice, the business can increase their prices and services. With the government having less of an impact on companies, it gave way to business owners to exploit their power and put children to work, rather than being kids. Tons of citizens were left unsatisfied by their pay and working conditions. They were getting paid almost 5 cents an hour, while their bosses were getting paid way more and most likely in safer and healthier working conditions. With the Industrial Revolution creating economic growth, it causes more of an opportunity for criminal organizations to arise, leaving their citizens feeling unsafe in their own homes. There is no equality in the economy. People who have wealth technically rule the government, while those who don't are in the lower class and treated as such. Another factor was wealth inequality. A capitalist-side society believes that future wealth should be passed down. Those who were wealthy only had money because they were born into it, so those who weren't struggled more often than not. The government was unfair when it came to helping business owners or workers. Many individuals with disabilities, or if the working conditions were poor that the job ends up being done poorly, will most times be overlooked because they aren't essential in the eyes of the government. Because of the lack of government regulations, there was something known as trickle-down economy, which basically means that most business owners kept most of the money themselves rather than giving it to their hard-working employees, so they end up prospering, while their workers don't.